Welcome to Race Time with Grady Toy, the show covering every type of racing that combines a driver and wheels. NASCAR, motocross, open wheel, dirt track, asphalt, road course, and more. Get ready for a great ride. Welcome to Race Time, everybody. I'm your host, Grady Toy, and this is the show that talks about everything racing. Today, my special guest is Bruce Silver. Bruce is the driver of the number 53 Legends car in the Golden Masters division, and he races all over the country. Bruce, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I'm loving it, man. We've talked about Legends cars on the show before. But just for our listeners out there, could you refresh our memory on what actually is a Legends car?
It's a little race car. It's fast. It's based on the body style of a 1934 Ford Coupe, my model. There are several models that have Chevrolet and whatnot, and they have coupes and sedans. It has a motorcycle motor, Yamaha motorcycle motor, 6-speed, and they're very fast.
Okay, now is it like a 600cc?
I think it's 900.
900.
We used to be at 12. We used to be at 1250, and now I don't. As we'll talk about in the interview, I don't have a lot of experience other than holding the wheel. So as far as mechanically, I let the teams do that.
Okay, very good. Now you just talked about your body style. It's a 34, but some of them that's the chopped off one that has like a 5-window. It's a 5-window, something like that. Or is it?
Yes.
Okay. And some of them have the big, they call it a tub, the big long.
Right, that's the sedan.
Okay. And you say, like, depending on the track, how fast do you say you go? Like, say on a quarter-mile track, how fast do you figure you go on a quarter-mile track?
Your top speed's about 75, I would guess 78 on a quarter mile. At the bull ring, my top speed's been around 86 miles an hour.
Okay, and the bull ring is 3/8 mile, right?
3/8 mile high bank track, yeah.
And for our listeners, again, the Bull Ring is a track at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway we've talked about before. It's just right beside the big 1.5-mile speedway because some people just, wonder where the Bull Ring is. Okay. Now, do you own your own car?
I do. I actually own 2 cars. I have one based here in Las Vegas that my crew out of Las Vegas runs for me. And I have also another car back in Charlotte, North Carolina, that 860 Motorsports and CJ D'Addario prepare for me.
Okay.
Back east.
Very good. So you have like 2 separate teams then?
I do.
Wow, that's amazing. I love it. So how often do you go back east to race?
Well, with pandemic, I wasn't going back, but typically I just finished a week in Florida, 5 races. In southern Florida, mid-Florida actually, and I hope to be able to go back and race them in the summer shootout at Charlotte this summer.
Oh, very good, good. Now, what was your first ride? How did you really get started into racing?
Well, my experience in racing started way back. But after I moved to Charlotte and started going to a couple of the Legends races around Charlotte, I thought that would be pretty cool. So got together with some people and put a ride together with Bob Dillner from Speed 51. He provided me a car and coaching, and that's where I got my first start.
Okay, very good. Now, beyond driving a car, what are some of the other involvements you have in racing?
Well, currently I have a radio company called Radios for Racing.
Okay.
That is a full-service radio company that we deal mainly in the Las Vegas area, but we have a website and we deal all over the country. My start in the business came in 1988. I was the president and founder of Racing Electronics.
Racing Electronics. Now, I'm sure everybody has heard about Racing Electronics. That's a pretty big deal.
It was a lot. Yes,
yeah,
it was a lot.
Okay, so you founded that company.
I'm the founder of the company. Yes.
Great. Now, okay, how long have you been racing then? Have actually been racing?
About 15 years.
15 years, okay. And it's all been in Legends cars?
Yes,
Okay.
I raced one dirt race in a beat up late model many years ago with Matt Dillner invited me to a race. He won the race, by the way, but that was up at Watkins Glen.
Okay, but do you like the dirt or no?
I'd rather stay on asphalt.
Okay, because some guys have their preference. Okay. Now, what you just said what piqued your interest in racing, that you were just like hanging out and watching a race or something like that, and that's what got you started?
Initially, going back to ground zero, I worked for a large automobile company selling cars. I was actually a manager back then, and the managers handled Rolls-Royce sales. I sold a Rolls-Royce to a man who owned a dirt racing team. He also owned a Busch Grand National team back there.
Wow.
And he started taking me to the races, and that's where I got my start. And in 1988, I went to Flemington Speedway, which was dirt. I was a big dirt fan of watching, just not
Yes.
driving. And on the way home, let me back up a little bit. My son Brad, who's now in his 30s, he was born a couple weeks before this final race of the year at Flemington.
Okay.
And I stayed with him and his mom, and then when it came time to go to the race, I went to the race at Flemington. It was the last race of the year, 1988. And on the way home from that, I thought, it would be pretty cool to be able to listen to the drivers. And I came out with a little ad and put it in Area Auto Racing News from Trenton, New Jersey. It's a regional racing paper. And the phone rang, and thankfully the phone never stopped ringing.
Okay. Now, I get that paper every week.
Do you really?
I still get that paper every week, so I know what you're
Lenny
talking about.
Salmons,
Yes.
the whole Salmons family, they've been very good to me over the years. And yeah.
Yeah, I get that paper every week, and I read it religiously. So, okay, interesting.
And back in those days, remember, we had to wait for Wednesday for the paper to come to know who won last week's race.
Exactly right. That was back in the day, and
Yeah.
sometimes you might have to wait a couple weeks, and then you might get 3 copies before they, streamlined the mail system. Okay, who do you? So you have 2 crews now. You have how many people on your crew here in Vegas?
There's usually around 4 cars or 5 cars that
Okay.
are part of the same group.
Okay, good.
And the 3rd generation racing team takes care of us. Peyton Saxton and his whole family and a group of his people. Jaron, Parker. There's a bunch of them. They're great guys. Scotty. They all help me out.
Because I've heard Peyton's name all over the place.
Peyton's good. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And I've seen him race and win a lot of races.
Yeah.
Okay, and so what about your crew in North Carolina?
That's CJ.
Okay.
And he's from 860 Motorsports.
Okay.
CJ I've known CJ for many, many years. Great guy. He does an outstanding job of taking his teams around, and he travels a lot with his teams back there, and I join them occasionally, and that's a lot of fun.
Good. Because you need a support system. You need a big support system.
That's very important.
Yes, exactly right. Now, have you ever raced on a road course?
Yes, I love the road course.
Okay, I was
I
gonna ask
never
if you-
did, but I've come to love it. I raced at Charlotte Motor Speedway on their road course for many years, and I've raced at the road course in Las Vegas, the outer track, many different versions of it, and I just love it. I'm not very good at it, but I'm not the best and I'm not the worst. I'm mid-pack.
There you go. Because some people they just either love them or they hate them.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
so-
I put me in a race car and I'm happy. And there the speeds are considerably faster. On the backstretch at the road course in Las Vegas, we're the fastest time I've seen on my camera is 116 miles an hour. I'm sure there's guys going 6-7 miles an hour faster than me. That's fast. That's gone fast.
That's very fast.
Yeah.
And for a smaller car, you know, Legends is what, a 5/8 scale, but by a regular car.
So, yeah.
Okay. No, so do you prefer a big track or a small track?
I learned on a quarter mile. So anything, and I did a lot of racing on the quarter mile.
Okay.
So for me to transition to a bigger track was really frightening for me. It took me a long time to get used to that extra 15 miles an hour. That's on an oval.
Yes.
But on the road course, it's even faster than that. It took me a while to get used to that.
I got you.
And feel comfortable.
And going down the long straightaway and later braking and all that kind of thing. And
yeah.
Okay.
It's just dragging the brake and yeah.
Right, exactly. Now that's interesting. Okay, besides the bull ring, and we talked about you race all over the place, what other tracks do you race at, like you say you're back in Florida and all that stuff?
We were at Citrus County Speedway in Inverness, Florida for the annual Winter Nationals with U.S. Legend cars. And there were over 200 cars there.
Wow.
Record crowd. It was an interesting week.
Okay, now, so that's 200 in your division?
No. We had
okay.
We had about 24, 25 masters. We had one of the largest groups.
One of the largest classes. Okay. No, that's a lot of competition, and you say they're coming from all over the country.
Oh yeah.
So it's pretty stacked field, pretty pretty stiff competition. Okay. Okay. Out of everything, out of all the tracks, what is your favorite track? Would you say
The bull ring.
the bowling? Okay.
No question.
Okay, very good. That because you live here.
That's
and
home.
Yeah. Right.
Sorry, Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Okay. Okay. Racing is physically demanding. What do you do to keep yourself in shape, or is it just like you just go, or is there some things you do? Because different people have regiments that they do, exercising, running, and so.
Yeah, I walk a lot.
Okay.
We have 2 pups and take those out, and we live on a beautiful golf course, and we throw the ball for them and do a little bit of walking, 3 miles or so, and that's what keeps me loose and young.
Yeah, that does help. Yeah, dogs can keep you busy. Okay, now would you like to mention like some of your sponsors? Who are some of your sponsors?
Well, MPI, Max Pappas is a good friend, and he builds one heck of a steering wheel.
Is he the IndyCar driver? Not to interrupt.
He was he drove IndyCar, he drove Formula One, he drove NASCAR. He actually drove one of my cars back in Charlotte during a winter heat. It's called the Winter Heat, Charlotte. He raced one of mine in my division. I was very unpopular after the race because he won, and it was like he was a pro, and he easily walked away.
I got you, because having an IndyCar experience and then going back to okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And is there any other sponsors you like to?
Radios for Racing is my company, and we sell and stock just about everything that a racer would need at the bull ring.
Okay.
In case you get into a jam, we have earpieces and helmet kits and things like that.
I wasn't aware of that. This is very interesting to me because I wasn't aware of that. I just thought that you went down to the radio store and bought a radio, and it just makes sense to have everything at the track.
Oh yeah.
Availability for the drivers and the owners and all that stuff. So.
The in-car communications is very sophisticated and complicated. You can't put a headset on a driver, so you have to do custom earplugs for the driver. Well, that's not something you can go and easily get.
Sure.
At Racing Electronics, when I was the owner, we built our own professional lab. It's still in operation today, even more so, I think. They now keep a copy of the mold in a 3D design. It's scanned in. They have it in their computer. If I need a set of molds tomorrow, They could print it today and ship it tonight. It's that quick. They don't have to do anything with the molds of the colloid or any of that anymore. That's one specific thing about that. The microphones in the helmet, they're noise canceling.
Right.
For the headsets. Yeah,
Right.
all that.
And also, the spotter has a radio.
Yes.
Now he has the regular headphones on. Mm-hmm. And now,
In my case, it's she. Susan is my spotter.
okay, very good, very good. Now, so the person, the spotter, or the guy in the pits has the headphones. Now in the car, there's an antenna in the car.
No, you don't need an antenna
Okay.
on any. First of all, the antenna is mainly for transmitting on tracks over 3/4 of a mile.
Okay.
Line of sight. So the road course at Las Vegas, even though the total distance is over 3/4 of a mile, you have a line of sight. You really don't need one for transmitting. For receiving, you don't need the antenna for receiving. So I don't recommend an antenna for use in a legend car.
Okay, very good, because this is something I didn't know and I was curious about. Mm-hmm. Because and like you said, the helmet, you just can't put set of headphones on a helmet.
Nope.
No, this is something.
So we take your impressions at the racetrack, and takes around 20 minutes to do it. And we send them to Racing Electronics, and they will do them and send them back to us.
It's almost an overnight thing, or just a couple days?
Right now at this time of the year, it's because of they're probably still recovering from PRI.
Sure.
They do thousands of them. They're still getting caught up, but yeah, it's usually pretty quick.
Okay, very good. No, like I said, this is interesting to me because it's something that normal people don't think about. They just see the guy has a headphone on, but it's just like, what does the driver do in the car? He's got to have something in his ears.
Now, one more thing about the headphones you mentioned are the headsets you see on television, on NASCAR, IndyCar. They're all made, the Racing Electronics headsets are all made in Concord, North Carolina.
Okay.
The wiring harnesses that go into all the professional cars, which that's what I sell, is all made in Concord, North Carolina. We started an initiative and to build American. We also imported some things. You can't have a business today without a mix, but we were very lucky to be able to provide the equipment that was made locally.
Good deal, man. I love that. That's great. Now, what are some of your major accomplishments in racing?
Well, I did win a race at Bowman Gray Stadium. That was pretty cool.
That's the real old.
Oh yeah, that's the Madhouse, they call it. That's back in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Okay.
I've raced there 5 or 6 times, and one of the last times I raced there, I won the race.
Good, because Bowman Gray is it's not really a race track per se. It's a ballpark or a football park or something like that.
It is a football field in the middle.
Okay.
Winston-Salem State University, that is their football field.
Okay.
So they can only race the track until the beginning of August, I think. Then they have to get it ready. But the outside of the track, similar to what they did in the Coliseum for the Busch Clash,
exactly,
is asphalt.
Okay. And it's very flat.
Very flat. Quarter mile, flat track. Around 8,000 fans. The fans attend it. If you've never been to a race at Bowman Gray, you got to see one.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Like I said, that's very interesting. Okay, now today's market, racing is very expensive. Okay, everybody knows that. It's just now, in your opinion, what could be done to drive down the cost of racing, or you think it's just a done deal? That, I know it's everybody knows that racing is super expensive, and it just
to keep the drivers safe and the fans really, there can't be any shortcuts in the race cars.
I agree.
They have to make them more inexpensive. Well, first of all, INAX, which is the name of the organization that builds the Legends cars, also owned by U.S. Legend Cars. They build all the cars special. They ship them all over the world, and they do an unbelievable job. One thing that they recently did, maybe 4 years ago, was they switched the motors. So instead of using a 1250 Yamaha, they use the 900. It's a 3-cylinder, fuel injected, very quick. The torque and the horsepower are very similar to the 1250. But the thing is, it's water cooled compared to air cooled in the old motor, and the useful life is 3 times as long.
Okay, very good, very good. And that helps too, because if you're changing a motor, you know, every 5 or 6 races or something like that, it's expensive. So, alrighty. Let me see. Okay, now this is a good question. What are what is like one of the strangest or craziest or you know, bizarre things that's ever happened to you in a race car or at a racetrack? You know, because I
was in a race at the summer shootout one time, and I have never won a shootout race in all those years, and I have tried, and I've come in second, and I've led, but I have this thing that I can't shake. A buddy of mine that I race with, he came for one race that year, doesn't race much, isn't as good as me. His name's Jeff Leftcourt.
If you're out there, Jeff, hope you're listening.
Hi, Jeff. And there was a wreck up front that involved a lot of cars, and he was in the back. Somehow he ended up on the podium. I don't know how. I don't know how he did it, but hey, Jeff, congratulations.
Okay. Before we throw the checkered flag on this show, is there anything you would like to add that we didn't already talk about?
For anyone that's out in the Las Vegas area, and I know this goes all over, but for anybody in the Las Vegas area, come out to a bull ring race. Come out and spend some time with us. It is friendly. It's new. They've changed quite a bit. It's so much more fan-friendly than it ever was. We're getting more cars than we have in the past, and we're starting to build our fields again. So if you're out here, come support us.
I love that, because I haven't missed a race probably in 10 years out there, and you're exactly right what you're saying there, because it is fan-friendly. And you get to know the people around you and stuff like that. So, no, it's just, you're exactly right, Bruce. So, okay, and so I think we're going to throw the checkered flag on this show. And I want to thank you very much for being here, Bruce.
So I won.
You did.
All right. Okay. There we go.
Okay, and remember, if it's got a motor, if it's got a driver, if it's got a wheels or whatever, I want to talk about it. If it's in racing, I want to talk about it. Take care, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.